Engineering, Pharmacy, and Management Sciences. It was accredited to NAC and MBA. I cordially invite today's speaker, Dr. Sabita Ramakrishnan Garu, Associate Professor, MIT Campus, Anna University, and our Director, Sir, Dr. C.V. Krishna Reddy Garu, and Dean, Dr. G. Janardhan Raju Garu, all Deans and HODs, and HOD of Triple Department, Dr. P. Ramesh Garu, and all participants from various organizations. I invite you all. Now I request Dr. P. Ramesh Garu, HOD Triple NNRG, to welcome all the participants to the webinar on research aspects on medical device development.
Respected today's speakers of this webinar, Dr. Sabita Ramakrishnan Garu, our beloved Director of Nalla Narasimha Reddy Educational Society Group of Institution, Dr. C.V. Krishna Reddy Garu, and Dean School of Engineering, Dr. G. Janardhan Raju Garu, various deans and head of the departments, and the participants from the various institutions. Good morning to one and all. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you into the webinar on research aspects on the medical devices. First, I would like to thankful to today's speaker of this webinar for her acceptance of immediate acceptance of our proposal. Thank you, Madam. Dr. Sabita Ramakrishnan Garu.
My pleasure.
Yes, Madam. And actually, this main objective and also the title of this webinar is the cognitive research of the proximity of the present scenario in the globe, the medical devices. The medical devices are playing very key role and also very important role to diagnose and as well as treatment and some testing components like as a tools related and associated with the medical field. So that this webinar is very useful for the aspects of the research related with the medical and other tools of instrumentations. So that I hope this webinar is very useful to all the people, and you can make utilize of this golden opportunity to get and acquiring the knowledge from this webinar about your research. Wish you all the best, and thank you very much.
Yeah, can we start now?
Yes.
Yeah, 1 second. Now I request Dr. G. Janardhan Raju, Dean School of Engineering, to speak few words about this webinar.
Our beloved director, Dr. C.V. Krishna Reddy Garu, today's speaker on the topic research aspects on medical devices, Dr. Sabita Ramakrishnan Garu, Associate Professor and Department of Instrumentation Engineering, MIT Campus, and Deputy Director, Internal Quality Cell, MIT Campus, Anna University. Convener of the today's webinar, Dr. Ramesh Garu, my co-deans and respected heads, and all the faculty, very importantly, all the participants for the very important topic of the today's webinar. Very good morning to all of you. I really very happy that the Department of EEE has come forward to organize a webinar on this very important topic, because the entire world is on the crux of facing the difficulty of COVID-19 pandemic. All the time there is a vast scope is there any time on the research of medical devices. No doubt at this point of time, this research will be really very much useful to all the researchers to enlighten or even to conduct the research. Surely, if you take any equipment in general, every equipment, people will try to work either to increase the comfort or to improve the ease of operation or to improve the quality or to improve, especially like in diagnosis of the equipment, and to reduce the cost. And at the same time, the accuracy of the equipment results are to be very, very important. hope definitely this topic will be very much useful. Every participant will be very active to grab the main crux of this. Thank you to all the participants. Wish you good luck. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir, for your visionary words. Now I request Dr. C.V. Krishna Reddy Garu, Director of NNRG, to speak few words about the webinar.
Thank you, madam. At the outset, I thank today's speaker, Dr. Sabita Ramakrishnan Garu, for accepting our request to give a session on research aspects in medical device development, which is the order of the day. Because technology application in medical field is growing day by day, and people are expecting a lot of sophisticated equipment in medical field, particularly in health sector. So I congratulate the Department of Electrical Engineering for aptly choosing this topic. And the participants, I think almost about 82 have already logged into the session. And I hope this session will help our faculty, researchers, engineers, and the students to improve their what do you call their knowledge in this particular field. Though instrumentation is very important topic nowadays, people are not aware of the importance of engineering instrumentation, particularly in electrical and electronics engineering. Right now, presently, in almost all corporate hospitals, we are seeing very highly sophisticated equipment because of which many diseases are very easily cured. And we must hats off to our engineers for doing research and developing this kind of instruments for the development of mankind. Madam, I am really very happy to see you today from the platform of Nalla Narasimha Reddy Group of Institutions, which is an integrated campus conducting various programs almost on daily basis for the benefit of our community. I sincerely thank you for accepting our request, and also congratulate the department for making this kind of efforts to share the knowledge to the students, faculty, and engineers during this pandemic lockdown period. These few words, I once again welcome all the participants to this session, and thank once again Madam Savita Ramakrishnan for accepting our request. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your visionary words. Now it's privilege and honor to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Sabita Ramakrishnan Garu. Dr. Sabita Ramakrishnan Garu is an associate professor in the Department of Instrumentation Engineering, MIT Campus, Anna University. She is also the Deputy Director of Internal Quality Assessment Cell, Anna University. She obtained her BE from College of Engineering, Gundi, Anna University, with a gold medal for an academic proficiency. ME from MIT Campus, Anna University, and PhD in Wireless Sensor Network from Anna University. She has more than 19 years of experience in teaching and R&D. She also served as a coordinator of Entrepreneurship Development Cell and Associate Placement Officer in its while employment. Dr. Sabita was adjudged the best outgoing student in her diploma program in Government Women's Polytechnic, Chennai. She also received National Merit Scholarship Scheme certificate in her SSLC. She received the IEEE Appreciation Award from Chairman IEEE Madras for arranging and delivering technical lectures as an IEEE ExCom member during 2013-14. She received Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award for Teaching Excellence from Mariana Labs R&D in 2016 and Best Quality Assurance Cell Coordinator Award from Seed India during the National 4E Summit in October 2017. As a researcher, She has published 8 papers in international journals and 14 papers in international and national conference proceedings. She received the Best Paper Award twice in 2 international conferences held in 2014 and 2017. She has completed 2 R&D projects so far, one IICT RPS project on ad hoc networks worth rupees 12 lakhs in 2009 and DST funded products worth rupees 32 lakhs in 2018. A patent has been filed for an IP development in this project. She is one of the principal investigators in the ongoing UGC UPE projects of Anna University worth rupees 75 crores. She received Best Mentor Award from CTDT Anna University in 2014 for guiding a student innovative project on wearable sensor. She is a reviewer for international journals, including Springer, InterScience, and elsewhere. She has chaired several technical sessions in international national conferences. She is a member of Board of Studies for 2 colleges. As a faculty member of Instrumentation Engineering, she has augmented the electronic lab facility by securing a special grant of rupees 2 crores in the past 10 years. She has organized around 25 programming training so far and delivered around 35 guest lectures in various institutions on topics including wireless sensor networks, signal processing, and embedded system. She also made an official visit to Germany and Qatar. She is a member of IEEE Communication Society, IETE, and ISTE. We were very glad to have you, madam, for this webinar, for accepting our invitation and conducting a webinar on medical device developments. Now, it's a time to hand over the webinar session to today our speaker, Dr. Sabitha Ramakrishnan Garu. Madam?
Thank you. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Are you all able to hear me? Let me just go to the chat and then check whether it is able to hear. Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, madam.
Because I have in the chat room that my voice is not audible. That's why I'm checking once again before starting. Okay, if everything is fine, we will start the session.
Yes, madam, we can proceed.
Okay. A very good morning to one and all present here. It's my proud privilege to present this webinar to the participants of the esteemed institution, NNR group of institutions. Now, our campus is not MIT campus, it is MIT campus. We call it MIT for the information of the introducer and the study. Today, I'm going to handle the topic research aspects in medical device development. So let us proceed with what we have done in this area and what the knowledge we have gained by through our experience. I'm going to share with all of you and make you all feel comfortable in applying for projects just like I did. Now let me stop my video before proceeding. Yes, I'm just sharing. Yes. So the overview goes like this. Let us look at the need for the medical device design. And then we will discuss the fundamentals. How to approach a research project when you take up medical device development as your goal. And then I will present the case study of a device that we have done. And then I will also briefly tell you the facilitation that is provided by a particular center that is called the National Hub for Healthcare Instrumentation Development. For all the researchers who are desiring to get into projects that are oriented towards product development. Now let us look at the need. Now why we need this medical device development? As the, I think chairman spoke first, or HOD spoke first, he rightly said that medical device development is the need of the hour. And it is not the need of the hour now, it has been in our wish list for a very long time. we have been importing medical devices till date. Almost 90%, more than 90% of our devices are only imported. And a very small percentage of equipment are developed within India. And that too, you can see that the accuracy, the calibration, the reliability is not on par with the imported equipment that we are using. Now, this has been very cunningly exploited by the companies that are manufacturing medical devices. For example, when you buy some medical device, the device itself is very expensive. And when you go for the accessories, the spare parts, the replacement parts, they will be even more priced. And the hospitals and the whoever is diagnostic labs, whoever is using medical devices, they are really suffering a lot because the spares themselves are exorbitantly priced. Because of that, our tests, diagnostics, treatment, everything is high priced now. And patients start complaining about the hospitals and labs. Now, one thing is we have a very good knowledge backup. We have good R&D institutions in our hands reach. And it is very important that we have to start doing research and not stop with doing research. Also proceed to develop products based on the concepts and findings that are coming out of our research. So when you look at the need for medical device development, the first point, as I told you, is most of the devices are imported today. Now, the second point is that it is prohibitive cost. That is because of imported devices. And the third point, as I told you, lack of accessories and spares. We cannot indigenously produce because they are copyrighted. And we are not allowed to make accessories for the foreign equipment also. Even if we can make it at a lower price, we cannot do it. It is ethically wrong and legally also it is wrong. So we cannot make spares and accessories for the imported devices. We have to make our own device. That's the idea. Then comes the technological advancements that can aid medical diagnostics and treatment. That means we have several imported equipment and those are all not sufficient for us. There are many requirements which have not been met at all till date. So we have to use the technological advancements and help the fabrication, the device manufacturers to make new products which are not available in the market and also do that at an affordable cost. And then we are all doing research. Now there are numerous universities and colleges. There are so many researchers, thousands and lakhs of us are doing research. But very, very small percentage of research outcome is converted into products. In fact, we can say that it is less than 2%. So we have to convert our research into useful products. In fact, we have to orient our research towards product development. And then not only these needs are there are numerous opportunities. There are several funding agencies which are coming forward to give money for researchers who are aspiring towards product development, like BIRAC, DST BIRAC particularly. And the last point is that there are paradigm shifts that are happening in medical technologies only because of the research outcome that has been converted into products. If the research outcome is completing just with paper publication, we cannot see the paradigm shifts in medical technologies. So it is in the hands of the researchers to bring about new products. Now, what we should do as engineers, what can we do? The first point is the engineers should collaborate with doctors. Doctors are the persons who are experiencing the difficulties in diagnostics and treatment. So when we interact with doctors, we come across several problems which can be taken up as an ME project or a PhD work or as a research project, and we can develop new prototypes for the doctors wherever they find difficult to deal with their diagnostics and treatment. And the second point is that designers should think radically. That means we cannot go the traditional way. Like now, for example, we are using infrared imaging for finding the COVID patients in a large group. Now, nobody would have thought about it if the thermal imaging concept was not in place. So you need not check patient by taking the infrared thermometer in front of every person. You can simply take an image and find out who are all infected with COVID probably, okay, or at least who are all running high temperature. So this radical thinking is required in every domain. Whoever is doing research in whatever domain, they should think radically and they should solve complex medical technology problems with simple and non-invasive solutions. That is very important. Now, simple solution should be there and non-invasive should also be there. We will come to non-invasive a little later. Non-invasive means we should not put any instrument into the human body. It should be only outside. It can at the most touch the surface. It cannot penetrate the human body anywhere to any depth. So that is called non-invasive. We have to look at non-invasive solutions, which will be very helpful because the ethical committee clearance and validation will be very easy when it is non-invasive. And researchers should develop new techniques, completely new techniques. Out of the box thinking should be there for diagnostics and techniques. So this is the first point we have to keep in mind before we even step into device design and development. Now, what is the gap analysis? What is the lacuna? What is the shortfall? What is lacking in the conventional methods? We have to first address that. So what is not there? This can be found only when we interact with the doctors or when we interact with researchers who are into the biotechnology domain and medical domain. And then we should also interact with biochemistry people because there may be biochemical solutions and these solutions can be replaced with technologies. That means biochemical methods which are done in chemical labs can be replaced with some electronic gadgets, sensors, and algorithms. So that has been done even in Anna University, under the University with Potential for Excellence recognition. We are doing a marvelous job in that area. Now, how can it be addressed? So once you are finding what is lacking, then you start thinking how it can be addressed. And once you are coming up with some concept with which you can solve it, then you have to go to the, is the proposed method that I am thinking acceptable to the doctors and other users? Because you may think that it is a good solution. But the doctors, when you present the solution, they may say, oh, no, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you this particular aspect. So that way your technology is not working. So they will simply come up with their knowledge backup. They will give you some extra inputs, which will lead you into better research or useful research. And then you finalize the method by interacting with the stakeholders and then developing it. Then once you develop, it's working. Okay, your device is working and it is giving results. Probably it is giving the result on par with some other result which you have tested also. But can the proposed method be tested and validated completely? Validation means it is not testing for 1 or 2 samples. It is for testing numerous samples and getting proper results for all the samples, at least for 95% of the samples. 5% error will always be there because it is not just your device that is giving you the results. There are other factors. We call it as uncertainty parameters, which will come into picture, which will affect the result. So that will always be there. But definitely, we should look at more than 95% of accuracy in all our devices. Now, the last point is, will it be possible to convert our concept into a product? Because there are many concepts that are developed in research, which are to a large extent, sometimes it is beating around the bush, or sometimes it is so complex that you can never make a product out of it. You can only publish it and stop it. So we have to look at the product aspect, which is actually a totally different vertical. When you start developing your concept into a product, which we are doing right now, there are so many factors that are coming in afresh, which we never thought about earlier. We will discuss that also in detail later. Now, what are the approaches you have in device design? You can have a completely new design. You can modify an existing design. That means there may be some changes in the already existing design in terms of software or hardware. Or you can enhance, you can add some modules, you can add some features. you can extend it for performing some extra functionalities, etc. Or you can have a combination of these. That means you can have some modification, you can have a new module, you can enhance the already existing module. So you can have a combination of all these also. So that is how we approach in any device. So this is a very important slide. We should all remember every time we start a project or start thinking about our research. Now, what are the design stages? There are several design stages. 5 stages are given here. You can insert some stage also in between. I'm only giving you the 5 major stages. Now we start with the proof of concept. That means you have a research idea. Let us say, for example, you have developed a new sensor, or you have developed a new algorithm. You take the data, you analyze it, and you come out with some classification result or with some solid result. So you develop an algorithm, you develop a hardware, or you develop a sensor, something. So you have a proof of concept because you develop it and you test it in the lab. You do some simulation, you do experiments in the lab. And from that outcome, we can publish a paper in a conference, in a journal, we can publish a paper. So that completes the proof of concept. Then we go to the second stage, which is doing a project. Now by project, I don't mean the UG or PG project, which is mandatory for any program. This is a research project, a funded project. In fact, funded project would be even better because not many institutions or organizations can support the financial expenditure. I mean, the financial support cannot be given by many institutions when you simply throw a new idea and say that you want to work on it and you want to buy some equipment worth 25 lakhs. Who is going to give you that amount of money unless they are sure about the returns? So a funded project would be always better to test our research output, what we got from the proof of concept. If you want to go and do a complete project and test it and then validate your results. At the proof of concept level itself, if you want to do all these things and also develop a prototype, then you have to get some funding. Okay, let us say that you have applied for a project, you have got some funding and you have developed the prototype and you are testing. Now the prototype comes next. The project may end even without a prototype or the project may end with a prototype. We are not sure about what sort of project you are taking. Okay, so we go next to the prototype level where we will actually design something like a device. And this device will be working autonomously. What do you mean by a device or a prototype? What's the difference between a prototype or a product? A prototype is developed using readily available boards and some plug and play modules and some software which may be copyrighted, may not be copyrighted. It may be part of the device that you have developed, or you may be running it along with a PC. So the PC itself may be forming part of your prototype. Okay, so that we call it as prototype. Whereas product should not have a PC beside it. We cannot have some other commercial board within it. We cannot have other copyrighted products within it. We should have completely autonomous design, completely indigenous design. So in prototype level, we don't actually worry about what boards we are using, what devices that we are interfacing, and what software we are using. We may use whatever we want and we can develop some sort of a device. Something like a device we can claim. That we call it as a prototype, which is fully functional, but it is not fully indigenous design. It is not our own design. It has been like mixing several things together. You have formed and like a building block. The children play with building blocks, right? They build a house, but that is not a house at all. So building blocks are used for building some, let me not say building blocks house. Let me say mechanics. Mechanics is a game played by small children. They will build some small vehicle out of it. It will also run. Okay, but that is not a vehicle by itself. So you have to make your own design later. It's like only testing it for functionality, whether it is carrying the minimal load, etc. You can test all these things, but you have to go for product design later. A prototype cannot be directly marketed, whereas a product, yes, it can be marketed because it will be certified easily. Prototype cannot be certified because it will involve all other devices from other manufacturers also. Now, once the prototype is fully functional, then what we have to do is, before we go for products, we have to patent it. The innovations that we are making should be patented. Now, patented in the sense, patent need not be granted. At least the patent should be filed. So the drafting of a patent itself is an art. Like all of you, all of us would have come across the land property documents, the house property documents. How many of us even understand that, right? But every word has got some weight in it. Like that, in drafting a patent, every statement that we make has got some weight, and we cannot write like we are writing an essay. It has to be drafted properly. That is why it's called drafting. So we draft a patent and then file it before we go for product. And finally, we develop the product along with an industry, or we transfer the technology to the industry and allow the industry to commercialize. There are several ways in which we can collaborate with the industry and commercialize a product. If the technology is completely owned by us and we are transferring to the industry, we can really charge them heavily. And when we are commercializing, we can ask for a royalty also. But if the industry is involved in developing the product along with us, then there will be a joint development agreement that will be signed between the industry and the institution, and then the commercialization will be taking place based on some revenue sharing. So there are several modalities that are happening. There are guidance, there is guidance available from our own Anna University. There is a Center for Technology Development and Transfer, and there is a Center for Intellectual Property Rights. They give us excellent guidance for patenting as well as technology transfer. Now let us move on to the next topic. Slide is not changing. Yes. Yeah, I hope you're all able to see the slide.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us look at the process flow. Now let us say we are we have decided to design a device, medical device, and how do we start and go about with it? Of course, first you need to have the design, the specifications, and from the specifications, you formulate the block diagram of the various modules, and then the flow chart, the sequence of operations and everything, and then you develop a model, how the device has to be assembled and how the functionalities can be brought up. So once this is done, we go for the development. We divide the design or the development into hardware part and the software part. We can test the software part separately in simulation, and we can test the hardware module by module for its functionalities. And once they're all working well, all the hardware modules should be connected together and tested, and the software should be implemented. If it is having an embedded system, of course, almost all the devices will have the embedded system in it, and we have to embed the software in it. And then we do the integration. Several levels of integration will be done. The hardware integration will be separately done. If there are multiple software components involved, we have to integrate the software components separately. And finally, we have to integrate the hardware along with software. So once this is done, the development part is complete, and we can test the functionality after integration. And then we go for testing. Now testing, the first step is type testing. Now what is type testing? It is just testing the functionality of the device after the complete integration is done. Let us say for the prototype. See, we have not mentioned whether it is a device or a product, device as in a prototype or a product. Whatever it is, whenever you develop it, you have to first do type testing. Whether it is a prototype or a product, you have to do type testing. Type testing means you test it for its functionalities. So whatever the device is intended to do, whether it is doing or not, you test it. That is called type testing. That doesn't mean that the device will function excellently for all the signals that it is taking and it will give excellent outputs. No, it is not so. You should do the calibration of the sensors separately, of the modules, hardware modules separately, and after integration, once the prototype or the product is developed and type testing has been completed, you calibrate once again. And this calibration will be for the entire functionality, including the delays involved, the accuracy of the results, and the logging of the data, and the long-term performance. Everything is checked. And then we go for validation. Now, what is validation? Let us say you have some, let me take our own device. It is for ECG signal analysis and classification. It is not enough if I simply take some store the signals and test it. I have to test it for real-time signals. And it is not enough if we test it for 10 signals or 20 signals. We have to test it for hundreds of signals from the patients, from the simulators, from many types of patients, from patients of different age groups, etc. Now, if it is working well for all such inputs, then we say the product or the prototype is validated. First, it is prototype that will be validated. Then, once the product is developed, it will go through everything. That should also be validated. Okay. So, at prototype level, we do all this, come up to validation, and then you go for the IP, intellectual property development. You identify which are all your own innovative features. That means unique features which have not been incorporated anywhere in any device. Identify all those aspects, and all these innovations and inventions can be compared with what is already available in the various patents by going through a thorough patent search. And you have to counter everything. You take every patent and you counter that your particular prototype has got some feature that is not there in the already available patents. And then you file the patent with all the innovations that you have got. Once this is done, you can publish the paper without any issues. You must remember that when you are having some innovative idea, you should not initially publish it. You have to file the patent, only then you have to publish. Very, very important. If you publish it as a paper in even a conference or some forum, it cannot be filed as a patent because it has become public. So it is no more your intellectual property, it has gone public already. So that is one problem. You have to file the patent and only then you can publish papers regarding your innovation. Then we go for technology transfer by choosing an industry partner. Of course, he might have been already there in the design. If not, you choose a new industry partner who is suitable or apt for your device, and then develop the product along with the industry partner by helping them in the design and development, because you own the IP and you have the concept, proof of concept, everything. And then we go for commercialization. So let us take a case study for a medical device development, how we have gone through this. Now, this is the device that we have developed. I mean, I can call it a device because it looks like a device very pretty much. What you see here, I hope you are able to see the cursor. Are you able to see the cursor on the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Okay, okay. So what you see on the left is the lab prototype. We called it as lab prototype. Now I told you, no, when we start developing the prototype, we use the development boards that are readily available off the shelf. And this is a DLSpeak board that we have used. And this is a Raspberry Pi board that we have used. And one PCB, of course, we designed inside. And the battery, the 12-volt battery is here. And then the sensor that we have used here is a heart rate sensor. That is also readily available. Now, this prototype we have developed using the development boards completely. Okay. And when you come to the right hand side, This is a device that we have completed. Of course, the box was bought. We didn't make the box. We bought the box. But apart from that, everything we did ourselves. Of course, the ICs are used and components are used. But the PCBs, the DSP board is not there. It is our own board inside. The Raspberry Pi board is not there. It is our own processing board and our own screen here. Okay. And it doesn't use the Raspberry Pi board for any processing. And the heart rate sensor is also not used. We have simply connected the ECG pads. And this processing is also done internally by our own circuit. The high voltage circuit, the low voltage circuit, everything we have done. Now, what is this device? It is automated external defibrillator. Now, this was developed under a DST funded research project under the IDP program, Instrumentation Development Program, which is meant for technology development and transfer. So they expected us to develop it along with an industry or pitch in with an industry at the end of the project. So either our choice was given to us, and we completed successfully the project in 2.5 years. Professor Dr. P. Tyagarajan, professor from our department and Dean MIT campus, he is the PI of the project, and I am the co-PI of the project. And we have developed this device along with Mr. Anand, who is now working in CSIR. He also worked as a project staff in the project, and we have developed this, type tested it. We have started the commercialization phase recently, and we are waiting for the funding. Because of the pandemic, it is being delayed, and we are hopeful to bring it as a product quite soon. Now, what is this AED, or automated external defibrillator? Now, defibrillator itself is actually used for treating ventricular fibrillation, which is a sudden cardiac arrest. Now, we have come across people who die suddenly. That means they may be very healthy also. Like I don't know how many of you know one Mr. Muthuraman, who was a Tamil actor. He was not very famous and all, I don't know. But he is a person who used to do exercise very regularly, and he used to be very fit and athletic. And what happened was, all of a sudden, one fine day, morning, when he was, I think, when he was exercising, he died. Now, what happened to him? He got into ventricular fibrillation. The point is, a very healthy person can also get it, and very weak person with heart problems can also get it. And what is the actual problem? The heart will be vibrating a little abnormally, and it will suddenly stop. And when it is actually, the heart rate is very, very low or very, very high. Under these two conditions, the ventricular fibrillation can occur and the heart may stop. Now, in the case of the healthy person, if you use this defibrillator on them, the shock will make their heart work once again, and they will just get up and walk away. They will just walk like a normal person, and they walk back home. But if you leave them for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, they will die because the heart cannot come back to pumping. And we all know that we are all riding scooters. We have to kickstart it, and then so that it can run, correct? So that kick-starting mechanism for the heart is given by this defibrillator by giving a shock. So defibrillation is the only treatment, and it has to be given within a few minutes. Now, within a few minutes, how can you give for a person who is at home or who is exercising? So that is where AED comes to the rescue. If you have an AED, suppose a person faints, you can actually connect the AED on them. It will analyze and give the shock if required, or it will tell what sort of abnormality is there, and it will advise you to take the patient to the doctor. So very safely we can use the defibrillator when it is AED, because even a layman can use it. Okay, so the details of how the AED works, it has got intelligent ECG detection algorithm, so that it can detect the ECG and find out whether fibrillation is there or not. And then it will interpret it, and using audio and visual command assistance, it will help the user whoever is putting the AED on the chest of the patient, he has to put the pads properly and he has to switch on, etc. Right? So for that, there will be some audio commands. Those audio commands, we have made it in Tamil, Hindi, we can make it in Telugu also. So whichever language we want, we can make it. That is one of our innovations in our device. And we have also provided storage of vital information regarding the ECG when it is detecting it. We can store vital information in a pen drive. That is also another innovation we have done, which we have included in our patent that we have filed. And there are several things: the device activation time, the number of shocks, and the strength of the shocks delivered. All these are vital information that the doctor will need for treating the patient later on. Okay, so the objective of our project was to develop an AED indigenously at a very affordable cost of 50,000 or even less. And along with features that are not there in the already existing AED. Can you guess what the price of AED is? The imported AED is? It is nearly around 1.3 lakhs or 1.5 lakhs. The type of facilities that we are providing, if it is all there, then it will cost around 1.2 to 1.5, somewhere between this range. But we are going to commercialize it at less than 50,000. And it will talk in Tamil, Telugu, Hindi. So what else do you want? The user can very easily understand and help the patient to come back to life. Now, the drawbacks that are faced, now what sort of device design did we do? Means it is actually enhancing the already existing device and also modifying some of the components and adding some extra features to it. So what is the gap analysis that we did was the audio prompts that are there in the AED that we are using. I think you should have all seen the AEDs in airports, definitely. In some malls, okay, and like Phoenix Mall or some big malls, wherever you go, there will be AED that will be kept in a glass box, and we can break open and we can take it. Whatever you do, it will start talking in an accent that normally people cannot understand. So the total purpose of the device is lost. Now this was the first motivation for us to make this. And then Indians have some unique characteristics, like our men have hairy chest, sweaty body because we have a hot and humid climate, and low thoracic impedance because our lifestyle is such that the impedance is not same as the foreigners, etc. So we need the AED that suits our climatic conditions, our people. So we have to design accordingly. And then when we need to give multiple shocks, suppose the patient doesn't come back to life in one shock. You have to give another shock, another shock. Now, how many shocks will you give and what is the shock strength? The normal shock level that is advised by the American Heart Association is 150 joules for the adult. Now, 150 joules is fine. It can even go up to 200 joules. But when there are multiple shocks and when there is a patient with very weak heart and very weak body, you cannot give just like that some shock because it may bring the patient back to life, but their longevity is lost. They may not live for a very long time. That is also there. So we should take care of that aspect also. So excessive as well as insufficient. Suppose you give an insufficient shock, you will only give the shock to the body, but the patient may not come back to life. And if at all he is coming back to life in second or third shock, they will have the lowest lifespan that is possible. So it is strongly to be avoided. Now we have to calculate the shock and give it. That is also another aspect we have taken in our device. So calculated amount of shock. It is not a constant shock level which is normally available in all AEDs. It will actually calculate the amount of shock that is required. And then we need AEDs to be available everywhere. We say ubiquitous. Means any patient anywhere should have access to AED. It is not right now happening because of its high cost. So we are bringing the low cost and also the features to user-friendly level so that it can be placed anywhere and everywhere. Now, what is so special about our AED is that it is first indigenous AED that would have been developed. We are going to commercialize hopefully in 1 year. Let us see. And it will be with affordable cost, and it will be with vernacular language. Any language you want, we can have it. And then we have a graphical user interface where you can see the ECG. See, we always say seeing is believing. So when the patient is connected to the AED, the user can view the ECG on the screen. In many of the AEDs, it is not there. Where we can't view the ECG. So when the ECG signal is coming, we all know what normal ECG is, at least whether the signal is varying or not, we can see on the screen. And the impedance based, as I told you, the thoracic impedance is measured, and based on that, the shock amount is calculated by the algorithm, and the shock is delivered within 20 seconds. All this can be done. And suppose a further shock is required, then the step increment is also calculated properly, and only a small step is provided in the further shock. It is not the same amount of shock. It will be incremental shock, but it will be calculated step. And once a shock is delivered, we normally give the patient cardiopulmonary resuscitation. This you would have come across, people pressing the heart with their hands, both their hands. So that CPR can be given by the people around them. That provision will be, that timing will be provided, and the audio prompt will tell the user to give the CPR if they know it. Otherwise, it will proceed to the next shock. And the saving of the information in a USB flash drive. Now, this is another important thing. The patient can store it and take it to the doctor. And if we need, we can add a physician screen. Suppose the AED is owned by a doctor and he is having it in his clinic. He can have a physician screen along with the AED where he can view the ECG signal as if he is viewing a patient monitor. He can see that. So those are the features that we have incorporated, and there are several impacts that we analyzed. The user can benefit, customer can benefit, doctors can benefit, and healthcare organizations can benefit from this. And this is the block diagram which we first formulated. I'm going through quickly because this is not a project presentation. I'm just telling you that we went through the same procedure in the device development. I'm just showing you that. Okay, and then we framed the design flow where we have the hardware part, the software part, and the integration of the hardware blocks separately, and the integration of software and hardware done, and the lab prototype developed and type tested separately, after which the industry prototype was developed and type tested separately. And then we have some comparison because the lab prototype is one level higher than the experiments. Okay, whereas the industry prototype is going towards the product. It is almost a product. In many senses, we can say it is almost a product. So we just gave a comparison of how we have progressed from a lab level device to an industry level of device. Even with our own limited knowledge and facilities, we could develop this. And we filed a patent for all the innovations that I talked about just now. And then we exhibited. Now, this is very important. In device development, what I want to tell is, see, we are developing a device from a prototype and we are bringing in one industry partner. Do you think an industry partner will be interested in our device if he is not assured of the market? So we have to make sure that we have to make the industry people feel comfortable that yes, this is a product that will sell. For that, what we do is we display our prototype in many places. You can see the prototype here. I don't know how much it is visible. You can see our prototype being displayed in an exhibition, and people standing around are all doctors and nurses and device manufacturers, because it is a medical device exhibition that was conducted in Bangalore. So we just go and display our prototype in all these exhibitions, and we take the feedback from people, from all the stakeholders, like doctors, the fabrication, the manufacturers, and all other people, institutions, etc. And then we present it to the funding agency. This is the feedback that we got, and they are happy about it. Yes, the device has been acknowledged and it has been appreciated by the public. So the funding agency is happy about that. So for that purpose, not only for that purpose, we also gain confidence that it can come out as a product. And we have, these are not the only exhibitions. We have actually displayed it in several exhibitions, and we didn't stop there. Once a patent was filed, we have also published in newspapers regarding the innovations that we have done. So we have published in Times of India and Indian Express last June and August. And now, what is the next step? We have to catch hold of industry partners for making it as a product. So you can see me standing here, and this is the person from industry, Dr. Muthu. He has done his doctorate in medical devices, instrumentation part. Okay, and he is from one Messrs. Sosley Technologies, and they are all staff, project staff working in that company. And you can see Mr. Anand, who was working in our project, and right now he's working in CSA in Bangalore in IAL, Indian Aeronautics Limited. And this company has come forward to make it as a product. And this is another company. This is in Chennai, Sosley Technologies. And this is another company. You can see Mr. Suri. He's an alumnus of Gindi campus. And he has started the Triface Technologies in Bangalore. They make the PCB for all the water purifiers. Whatever water purifier you have got, whatever brand, whatever name, whatever size shape, the PCBs and the automation is done by them in this company. They have a excellent facility for mass fabrication of PCB and testing of PCB, and also EMI, EMC compatibility testing facility they have got. So we visited them, and they have also agreed. Once the product is developed, they have agreed to make the PCBs, mass fabrication of PCBs for us. For us means what? For the industry partner. What will we gain? We will gain the royalty. The name will be there for Anna University forever, and Anna University name will be there in the product. And hopefully you can all see one AED in your proximity with our university name in it, and probably marketed by Sosley Technologies. Let us hope that becomes true in the near future. Now, what are the opportunities for research projects in medical device development? This is for you. I just want to give you some takeaways. Now we have NHHID, which is a facility located in Anna University, which will help you to get projects, to get funding under this DST IDP program, which is actually under the TDT banner of DST, Technology Development and Transfer banner of DST. They have got this IDP, Instrumentation Development Program. And BIRAC is an agency which under DST that will fund you when your prototype is working. Almost product level has been reached. Actually, we have applied for BIRAC. We are waiting for the results. Okay, so they help the entrepreneurs and the institutions along with industries to make products and commercialize it. Because there may be some companies which do not have the financial support for their products to be floated into the market. In order to encourage indigenous devices, BIRAC is funding the entrepreneurs, the startups, and the institutions that have come up with prototypes that can be productized. Now let us talk for what is the time now? It's 12. Another 5 to 10 minutes, I will talk about NHHID, after which I'll ask you just a few questions. You can answer in the chat, and then we will close it.
Okay, ma'am.
You said 12:30, no? I think it will be fine. Okay. Now, NHHID is National Hub for Healthcare Instrumentation Development. Now, this facility is housed in Anna University. It doesn't mean that it is one department of Anna University. No, it is a wing of DST itself, which is located in Anna University. The Vice Chancellor has been kind enough to give the venue for opening that facility in Anna University. And also our professors and research teams are working without taking any remuneration. They are working for NHHID. So that is one benefit DST has gained from Anna University in the last. Now, this NHHID has got several collaborations and several objectives. It has got association with academia, research institutions, industries, hospitals, funding agencies, government agencies. Funding agencies can be government as well as private, and government agencies may not be funding all the time. Okay, like CSIR. Okay, they don't give you any funding, but they are R&D institutions. And associations and organizations that are also collaborating with NHHI. Now, there is an industry R&D arm, consultancy and entrepreneurship that is taken as a separate vertical. So industrial R&D, like I told you, product development. Consultancy, when industry comes up with some problem, we can solve it because we have a lot of research knowledge, and the consultancy work can be taken. Entrepreneurship, people who, from outside as well as from our own universities, whoever is ready to become an entrepreneur, that can also be nurtured by NHHI. And promotion of instrumentation, public awareness. That means the instrumentation development alone is not enough. Public awareness should be brought about. For example, there is a calibration facility in NHHI. That should be propagated to everybody so that they can avail this facility and calibrate all their instruments at a very affordable cost. And also, when there are people with ideas, they have to develop that instrumentation. They have to develop prototypes. So they have to come to NHHID for that. So that public awareness should also be given. That is done through the exhibitions and notices, through websites, and through visits and collaborations. And human resource development, through training and through discussion forums, through conferences and workshops, we develop the human resources. In fact, we have conducted one program along with Stanley Medical Hospital for giving awareness to all the biomedical engineers, nurses, doctors, because even doctors do not know many technological aspects. They will only look at it as a device that is giving some medical output, medical parameter output, etc. If they know the technology background, they will be in a position to help us innovate better. So that sort of human resource development should be done in terms of knowledge sharing with all stakeholders. And there are platform facilities. What do you mean by platform facilities? We all know that Windows is a platform, Linux is a platform, but those are all operating systems that are platforms. We should know that there are software platforms. There are hardware platforms. For example, let me say, this DSP board which we used in our device, that is a hardware platform. You can develop whatever DSP application you want in it. And this embedded system that is provided by NI, National Instruments, the LabVIEW based products, that can also be called a platform because you can develop any embedded system using that. Like that, there are platform facilities. We say optoelectronic platform. What is that? Optical signal, any optical signal can be taken in, analyzed, and results can be given. So platform facilities are developed. And in biotechnology, and animal studies are provided because we have collaboration with the veterinary college also. And device design can also be done through NHHID because the product rapid prototyping and rapid product development center in Bangalore, IISc Bangalore. So Dinesh is taking care of that. Okay, so that facility is also there. Excellent facility is available. In electrochemical facility, we have the labs are available, etc. So all these you see in the outer circle, these are all the services that are provided. The inner circle tells you which sort of organizations are collaborating with NHHID. The outer circle provides what are all the various services that are provided. Okay, prototype development, it helps. And sophisticated facilities such as calibration, prototyping, and limited production, limited manufacturing facilities available under NHHID. There's a big network throughout India. We are collaborating. Of course, within India only. It is indigenous device development program. We are not collaborating with foreign universities or foreign countries. We take the guidance. We take help from big corporations like Fluke, Biomedical. They manufacture calibration devices, but we don't collaborate with them in any development because they won't like it. We are into indigenous device development, and MNCs may not like it. So you can see the big network that has been established by NHHID throughout India. And some of the products that have been commercialized in phase 1, phase 2 is going on now. I'll only tell you about phase 1. Synthetic milk tester is a product that has been commercialized. And this slide doesn't carry the product completely, but it has been commercialized already. Okay. And this one microcontroller part was actually done by our Professor Tyagarajan and his students from instrumentation department. By the way, our Professor Tyagarajan from our department, who was the PI for this AED development, he was also the co-coordinator for this NHHID until 2017, I think, 2017. And you have the RFID based infant theft prevention. Now, this Tamil Nadu government has actually shown a great interest, and a lot of thefts have been avoided because of this particular project. Although it is a small thing, now you can see this particular project. It can be a motivation for many people. RFID, many of us are even using it for our BE lab experiments or projects. We are using it. But you see, the simple technique. It was developed as a band, and it was put on the baby as well as the mother. And then a coordinator was established and a server was put up. And this was able to do the surveillance of the entire area, and any theft or any movement of the baby or movement of the baby away from the mother was very easily identified. A simple concept that was converted into a very smart product that was taken up by government, Tamil Nadu government, and it has been installed in all the government hospitals now. And this telemedicine setup, it has been under the NHHID funding, and it is now under testing, and it has been used in some of the hospitals that are in collaboration with us, like CMC, Vellore, and Veterinary College, etc. It will be given to all hospitals in course of time. In the near future, it will be done. And this future anchors, it was supported by NHHID, but it was not a product from Anna University. It was by a private or a startup company who came forward with this particular this anchors. I told you, no, the new device development can be simply indigenization of what is available in the foreign market. You make it at an affordable cost. So that is what they have done. They have brought down the price from 15,000 rupees to simply 2,000 rupees. And this is the calibration facility we have established. We are proud to say that many of us from our instrumentation department, myself, Professor Papa Madam, Professor Prakash, and Dr. Maithili, and Dr. Srinivasan, and Professor Tyagarajan, all of us were involved in developing this facility initially. For the first 4 years, we were in charge of this calibration facility. Now we have given it to electronics department because they are adding the facilities. We established it and added many facilities. There are analyzers that are used for calibrating medical devices, and they are adding more and more devices. You will be surprised to see that the revenue that it is earning is 3 to 4 lakhs per month. Imagine this amount is earned by providing the services at a very affordable price. That means when people are charging 5,000 rupees for one calibration, we will charge only around 500 rupees or 750 rupees. That's all. And you can see the amount that we are earning in spite of the fact that we are providing at a pittance, at a very, very small charge. That is because we are not businesses. We are not profit focused. We are only service focused. That is why. This amount is earned because we want to sustain the facility. NHHD will not give money for sustaining. We have to sustain that facility with the staff members. That is why we are taking the money. Otherwise, we are happy to do it free of cost. And there is one MOU that was signed with the NHSRC. And this MOU is a great milestone, I can say, because it has helped Anna University and the NHHRD to help the government hospitals and doctors all over to frame the specifications for any product that they want, so that they are not cheated and the right instrument is bought for their purpose. What initiated this particular MOU, a small incident, it was experienced by this director. He shared it. One lamp, a particular lamp in a unit, probably a microscopic unit, it was to be changed. And it was bought in the early days, and the lamp was very expensive because they were the incandescent bulb type of lamps. They've been purchasing that. Now, of late, the LED bulbs are very cheap. Now, what happened is one of the companies, they gave an LED light as a replacement for that bulb, which was working actually better than before. But he charged like 50,000 rupees for that. And the doctors were not able to find out. Somehow, during some interaction, they came to know, and this some engineering group, they found out that, and they started pondering over this. So why not we set up a system which can help the doctors to identify the right components and also check the right price for their spares. So that is one initiative. Of course, the MOU has got several things you can see here. Okay, capacity building through training programs is very, very important. And strengthening of the innovation research ties between institutes and boosting the R&D sector of all the universities and institutions and the research organizations. And knowledge transfer is this part we have to do. All of us as academia people, we should transfer the knowledge to policy. That means whatever knowledge we have got, it should be reflected in the policy decisions that are taken by the government and higher authorities. So that is our duty. We have to see to that. And this is the GO that was issued by our own Directorate of Medical Education, empowering Anna University for analyzing the specifications and the products that have to be bought for purchased for the medical colleges and the hospitals. Now, how can you benefit from this NHHID? Important slide. Now you develop your research ideas, you finish the proof of concept, you publish it if you want, or you wait until the patent is done and then publish. And then you do the lab level testing of the prototype. Now once this is done, you get the results validated by a clinician. Identify that clinician who can collaborate in your project. There are many doctors who can do a very good job as a doctor. But as a researcher or as a collaborator for research work, they will not be willing to contribute. We don't want such people. We want clinicians who can collaborate in our project and patiently, the doctor should patiently give their inputs for our development and for our project. And then you also identify industry partners to collaborate for product development. So doctor will give advice on the functionalities. The industry partner will give suggestions for product development. Then we can chart out a plan for the product development stages, as we have seen the 5 stages, with a timeline, and then we can submit the proposal. You can submit to NHHID also. I'm just telling you as an example. You can submit anywhere, because DST website you can open and see there are many projects call for coming up. You can also submit to NHHID for small projects. Where NHHID may not give you funding of 2 crores and all, or 50 lakhs and all. But small amounts definitely they can, through NHHID it can be obtained. And any queries that you have regarding your project proposal or anything, you can email them also. And there is an empowered steering committee of the DST that is a part of the NHHID. They will evaluate the proposal, and if it is found feasible, they will invite you for the presentation. And the presentation, it is advisable. I'm just telling you that you can take your team consisting of you, your team, clinician, and the industry partner. That will actually add value to your presentation. And the funding will be provided from the DST IDP scheme because it is a product development. Right? Any queries as of now? Let me just open the chat box.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
we have 2 or 3 queries, madam.
Yes.
Can you see the queries, ma'am? Shall I ask the queries, ma'am?
Pardon?
Shall I ask the queries, madam?
Yeah, sure.
One guy has asked me how to balance between general publishing and patent filing by a research scholar.
How to balance? Okay. See,
Yeah.
patent publishing can be done even when you are getting simulation results. You can publish it. Okay, and a part of the work that you're doing, you can publish it. And there are many research work that we do that cannot be actually converted into products or patented. But still, they can all be published. Now, when you are
Okay,
going
ma'am.
for patent, you should always be, you have to think and then do it, because patent is not an easy job. They charge you heavily. Anna University actually, they bear the charges when we are filing through Anna University. It is actually costing around 45,000 rupees, Indian patent, the initial level of filing. 45,000, 50,000 rupees. I don't know whether the charges have increased or not. So, and then once the examination is done, you have to pay the patent fee also. Now, the point is how many of your, how much of your research work you will be taking up to patent level. You have to think.
Exit ga.
You
Exit
may
ga.
have one or two topics for product development and other topics that are purely research, deep research. Okay, so those topics can be published. If you are very keen on product development, you please wait until the patent is filed and then you. Any other question?
Ma'am, someone is asking that. So you told that AED you made or going on be affordable, which means most of the people will buy this machine. Most of the people cannot be familiar with the medical values. You guys showing irrespective of whatever language you embedded in. So how to really make this universally understandable?
Yeah,
A
the
question from
concept.
Vishwesh.
Vishwesh, okay.
Yeah,
The
ma'am.
actually AED itself is meant to be used by lay people, layman. It need not be used by doctors. You can see that AEDs are kept in airports, malls, hotels, like that. There need not be any doctors there. So when you take out an AED, there will be a picture on top of it. What to do? And once you switch on, it has to guide you through audio, video, and text. It has to guide you as to how you can connect the pads on the patient. In AED, it is only connecting the pads to the patient and switching on. There is nothing to be done. There are many versions of AED, semi-automated versions are there, in which you have to connect the pads, you have to switch on, and the audio prompting will be there. And what it will guide you as to wait or sensing the signal, please wait. And then, yes, the patient has got fibrillation, you have to press the red button when the alarm goes. It will say like that. And the alarm will go, you have to press the red button. At that moment, the shock will be delivered. So that is semi-automated AED. If the people are not doing properly, the user can also get the shock. So they may mess with the operation of the AED itself. So we are ensuring that it is fully automated. So you need not worry about that. The AED is supposed to be used only by common man.
Ma'am, one more question, ma'am.
Yeah.
It's milli motors used for insulin pumps?
Yes. Infusion
Yes, ma'am.
pump.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, ma'am.
Sometimes
Actually,
peristaltic motors are also used. Peristaltic.
okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, can we start the quiz, ma'am?
Yeah, we can start the quiz. Shall we?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
Let me open the chat box. Can I see the chat box when I'm sharing the screen?
Yeah, ma'am. You can see it.
Yeah, let me just. If you hinder with your chat, I will just keep it here. You are seeing my screen, no?
No, ma'am. Right now we are seeing how you benefits from NHID.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
screen we can see.
Yeah, I'm just. Yes, can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It has gone
Title
to
came,
the
ma'am.
first
Title.
screen. I'll go to last. I have pressed the. It is a bit slow now. My system.
Yeah, ma'am.
I will just go to the last section. Yes.
Yeah. We have seen your screen, ma'am.
I want to see the chat. No? There is a black box coming in between.
Yeah, quiz time.
Okay, right. It's simple only. Whatever I just. Now I want you to tell me what are the 5 P's? What is the answer?
So all the participants need to answer, ma'am.
No, you can put it in the chat.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am.
Let me see how many are giving the answer.
Yes.
Okay.
What are the 5 P's in the device design stages that we discussed? You have to give it in the same order.
When one has answered D, ma'am.
Let us give them some time.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, it is D. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're all right. Thank you for listening intently.
Ma'am, your speech is very effective, madam.
Now, what is validation?
Okay.
Okay, this is the next question. What is validation? Let me move
Somebody
the
is
chat box
answering
so
first
that,
question only, I think, ma'am.
let us see how many are answering this question.
Yeah. This is also D, ma'am.
Everybody is giving D.
Yeah. 2 also D.
So 2 also everybody is giving D. That means I have not told you the details properly.
Oh,
Now the
it's not like
answer
that,
is
ma'am.
A.
Somebody see.
C.
No.
Somebody has said A, ma'am.
A is fine. Yeah. Who
Yeah.
said A? Let me know the name.
Somebody. Ramesh Babu from NNRG, ACR.
Ramesh Babu, very good. Well done.
Yeah.
Whoever
And
gave
many,
the
madam.
answer A as first one, I have.
Kalpana, Maheshwar Rao,
Nice.
Sunita.
That's okay. The first
Yeah,
A
many gave,
matters.
madam.
Yeah.
They were confused between first question and second question, ma'am.
No. First way. Okay.
Yeah.
Now always put the number. Okay. Please
Yeah.
put the number of the question and then you give the answer so that I can take the answer properly. I
Yes,
understand. Maybe many of them answered for the first question.
Yeah,
Now, what is validation means? Validation means you have to do the test repeatedly and the output should be of the same accuracy and same level of accuracy should be obtained for numerous blind tests, because you may have some samples within your lab or within your reach, or if it is image processing, you may be having some 10 images. You may work on 5 images and then you can give the rest of the 5 images. But they were all downloaded from the same website and they may all have some certain features that are common and the output may be the same. But when it is a blind test, you don't know from where the samples are coming. Still you do the test and then you give these results to that person, whoever has given the sample. And they have done the conventional method of analysis and they have come with some conclusion. Then they start comparing the results. When they find it that it is all okay, then it is completely validated. Okay, so numerous tests, that is the word that you have to look for. It's numerous. Many tests. Validation means many. Okay, yes. Let us move on to the next. It is not.
Slide is not changing, ma'am.
Yeah, it is taking. No, it takes some time.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes. Now my next question is: AED can save a patient from. You just move the chat box. Absolutely. Yeah. Somebody has given A. Now I just wanted to confuse. That is why somebody is giving A. The point is, AED is a defibrillator. Okay, it will save a patient from fibrillation. Okay.
So, many said that answer, ma'am.
Almost everyone has given. But A
Yeah.
somebody gave because they might have thought about defibrillator and defibrillation. That's it.
Yeah.
It is saving from fibrillation. It is doing defibrillation. What is expansion of NHHI? I have to wait because people have to type.
Option, madam. No options, ma'am.
No option.
It's okay.
I got bored of typing long sentences.
It's okay.
You can type it because I told at least 3 to 4 times I have told.
Hari Nishanti has written National Hub of Healthcare
Perfect. Yeah.
Instrumentation.
Kaushik and
Yeah, Kaushik
Nishanti,
also.
very good. Yeah. Whoever is typing after this, Abhi. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Hari, Nishanti, Kaushik, and Abhi. Very well done.
Many has written again.
Of course, yeah. I'm happy that people are remembering that. Because I want you to remember, because that facility will definitely help you to get some projects. That's what our idea is. Okay, they can also show nice projects, coming up from Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. So many projects, and they are coming up. They'll be very happy. Okay, we will be very happy
Yeah, ma'am.
as residents of our state. Right. Now, what are the several approaches that you have in device design? Yes.
Ma'am, it's D.
Yes, it is D. So you can have a completely new design or modify existing design, enhance the existing design, or combine all the above. You can have a combination of all these. Good, very good, excellent. Excellent, everybody. Now, testing and calibration can be treated as one and the same under certain conditions. I'm not spelling out what conditions, okay? I'm just telling certain conditions. Kalpana Dharmalingam has given false. That is the right answer. False is the right answer. B is the right answer. Yes. Subiksha, yes. Subiksha, B, and I don't know. Okay. So why it is false? Somebody's voice is echoing. Now, why testing and calibration cannot be treated as one and the same? Testing is only for the functionality. Calibration is for the accuracy and reliability, along with uncertainty. It can even be accurate, but calibration should tell you what is the uncertainty parameter that is involved. What is the uncertainty percentage? Calibration itself is a big topic which we can take and discuss for days together, because we established a calibration facility. We also developed some calibration procedures, and it is very interesting. And can anyone tell me the agency that gives certificate for calibration labs? Like we have got NAC accreditation and NBA accreditation for programs, NAC accreditation for university. Calibration labs have one accreditation. Can anybody tell me which accreditation it is? Like NAC or NBA, what is its name? Anybody? It is ISO. It is a standard. ISO is a standard. Okay. So ISO doesn't give you any certificate. As per the ISO standard, we get certification. But what is the agency? Which agency gives us that certificate? Yes. Who is that? Yes, sir. Can that person unmute and tell me the name?
National Standards Laboratory, madam.
Yes. What is your name?
Raghuram, ma'am.
Raghuraman. Very good. Yes. So NABL certification is required for all calibration labs, just like we have got NAC and NBA for institute. Very good. Oh, yes, sir, is Bharati. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
Bharati, very good. Well done. I think Bharati gave the first answer. I mean, Bharati gave the answer first. And then I think Raghuram gave. Right. What is the order to be followed? Okay, this is very obvious. I should not have
Yes,
asked
ma'am.
this question at all.
Two, no, ma'am. B.
Yes, yes. Yeah, Ramya gave the answer first, and then everybody has given the same answer. Yes, it is correct. We have to file the patent and then publish the research if it is regarding that particular product. Whatever you are filing as a patent should not have been published. That's it. That doesn't mean that we should not publish at all. You should not publish the research work that you are going to use for product development. Okay, what is the device design flow? This also we discussed, and I told you that it is very important to note the order in which you go about the design flow.
How many answers, D?
Let me just move the chat box.
D, ma'am. Many answers for D. One is B. C.
Okay. D, many people are giving. So which has given C as the answer, which I agree. Because without developing the prototype, you cannot type test. Okay. All right. If you are going to test it at design level, I'm sorry, I did type test. I should have included here instead of test. This is what I meant. Okay. So because there is a small error in the question, I have to agree that. But I can't go with B. Okay. Because before developing, we cannot type test. All right. So in any case, I think C comes as the answer. We have to design, develop the prototype, type test it, patent it, and then commercialize. That is the order. Okay, next. Last two questions. We'll be finishing now.
Yes, ma'am.
What is non-invasive technique? I mentioned it during the lecture. Yes, 9. What is the answer? Who gave the first answer?
C, ma'am. Many gave C.
Yes, who is the first one
Yeah.
giving C as the answer?
One second. Let's.
I didn't notice it.
Yeah, I'll notice an answer. C means Vishwesh, ma'am.
Sunita,
Sunita gave B.
V,
Vishwesh.
Vishwesh, once again, very good Vishwesh. Okay.
Mickey, Suresh, and then.
Okay, fine. So it is C, because non-invasive means the instrument that is used for diagnosis should not be introduced into the human body at any point. Okay? There are no strict rules. Why I told this invasive, just to confuse. No intervention from external, it's just a number. Now, no introduction of chemicals is also okay, but that is a specific thing. This is the generic thing. C is generic. Whereas B is a particular thing. You don't introduce even a needle. You will only introduce chemical through a needle. No? So D comes next. So C is the right answer. Yes, finally. What is the similarity between prototype and product? Let me check the answer.
Ma'am, it's many gave
Then
E, C, D, like
who
that.
said
Ma'am.
E? No.
E.
E is not. Anybody who said D first? D.
Yeah, ma'am. Bharati Eho. ACR means Bharati Eho.
Bharati gave the first answer as
Yeah, D.
D. Okay. D is the right answer because The concept remains the same. The functionalities can be included or modified in the product. The components may be totally different because we may be moving from development boards to indigenously designed boards. And the complete design will never be the same between the prototype and product. Only the concept on which it works will definitely remain the same. All others may vary. Right. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, ma'am. Now I request our HOD Dr. P. Ramesh Garu to speak few words about the webinar, ma'am.
Yeah. Good afternoon to all. I hope all the participants have received the good information from the madam. How can I say that? Already madam has conducted the evolution system, and also many participants have participated in that evolution. Based on that evolution part, you say that all the participants have received the valuable information and also excellent talk given by the madam. I extend my special thanks to the Dr. Sabitha Ramakrishnan Madam garu. And also I express to my thanks to our director sir, have given the good opportunity for us to conducting the online webinar, and extended my special thanks to our dean SOE. He's also given the good support to us to organize such type of webinars continuously. And I congratulate to my team who are organized this program, coordinators Srivani and Srikanth and Uma Maheshwar Rao. And thank you, and all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your feedback. Now I request Dean Dr. G. Janardhan Raju, sir, to speak few words. Sir, Dean, sir.
A very good afternoon to all of you. It's really very happy that Madam has given very good, excellent talk. At the same time, at the end of the session, Madam has conducted a quiz so that made every participant to be active and participating in the quiz. I really thanks from my side, being a Dean School of Engineering, for accepting our request from the institution and to give very good lecture.
Sir Srikanth. Sir Srikanth, sir, please unmute Dean, sir.
Hello.
Srikanth, sir.
Madam, hello.
Sir.
You unmute yourself, Malabar mute yourself in the one.
Srikanth has unmuted, sir, because every participant is unmuting, no?
Yes.
Okay, sir, please continue, sir.
Yeah. Very good afternoon to all of you. Respected director, sir, respected today's speaker, Radhakrishnan Madam. I really very happy that Madam has really conducted a quiz at the end of the session, so that Madam has made every participant to be very active and participated majority of the participants, and it was very interesting session, Madam. No doubt at the present pandemic days, the topic like this is very important. And always there is a vast scope for research and medical equipment. Even after so many years, still we are unable to find the medical devices for so many tests. And even if medical devices are there, but it is taking a lot of time to predict the results, to analyze the results. Hope definitely this session will enlighten all the participants and motivate to work on this. Thank you, Madam. Thanks a lot for your valuable time, Madam. Thank you very much from my side.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your words, sir.
Madam.
Yeah, ma'am.
You can see the device I'm having here. I just brought it to my room and kept it here.
Yeah, ma'am.
Prototype that we have developed. The two prototypes are here.
Yeah, we can see, ma'am.
You can take it closer. This is the one prototype. This is the other. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Now I request our director, sir, Dr. C.V. Krishna Reddy Garu, to speak few words about this webinar, sir. So, Srikanth, sir, please unmute director sir's mic, sir.
Sabita Ramakrishnan for giving a wonderful lecture today, and you made every participant to participate in your session, and I think everyone has got good information about the current development in medical technology from engineering point of view. So this definitely made us to understand the recent concepts related to the medical devices and also research projects, all these things. I once again take this opportunity to thank Dr. Sabita Ramakrishnan for accepting our invitation and giving wonderful insight in the current topic chosen. Also congratulate the Department of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, head of the department, the coordinators, the faculty for making this session a wonderful session. And also I thank Dean for taking active interest in motivating the faculty. Thank you all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your valuable words. Now I request K. Sati, Assistant Professor, Triple Department, to give a vote of thanks.
A very good afternoon to everyone. I, K. Swati, Assistant Professor, Triple Department, Nalla Narasimha Reddy, Educational Society Group of Institutions. I want to express my thanks out loud to today's speaker, Dr. Sabita Ramakrishnan Garu, for her visionary words on medical device development. She has clearly explained the defibrillator analysis opportunities for research in medical device development and testing and calibration. I thank all the participants from various institutions. I thank all the management for giving permission for conducting this webinar. I express my thanks to all the this webinar. The webinar is very effective and we are very happy to listen to your words. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for your session, ma'am. We are very much interested about your session, and we got a good opportunities for research on medical device development, ma'am. Thank you for your sharing your time with us.
Thank you everyone for inviting me. It was my pleasure. Because in this pandemic time, we are not traveling, we are not meeting people. We as faculty members feel very comfortable in a forum like this. So thanks for creating that opportunity. I enjoyed it. I can see the feedback also in the chat box. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Whenever we call you, you have just given a permission for conducting, ma'am. Well, thank you. We are very much thankful, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I will leave the session now. Thank you.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I request all the participants to fill the feedback form so that certificates will be distributed within 2 days. Thank you, one and all.